Hello, everybody. It's Friday morning. This is Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and I'm joined again by Hank Goldberg. Hammer and Hank, I know you have some horses this weekend. I know you're going to be really excited about some of these matchups in college basketball. I don't know if you have any interest in the All-Star game. I know I don't, but it's a big weekend, and there'll be a lot of teams fighting for position for their tournaments. Hank, good morning.
All right, Jim. The All-Star game, I guess, will they go over 375 points? That's the only interest I have. Last year, they scored a lot of points. They don't play any defense. It's just a show. But college basketball, top-ranked teams keep getting beat. But as I said the other day, some of the established teams are catching fire right now. Michigan State, North Carolina. Kansas is struggling. Yes, Arizona State still can't beat Arizona. And Cincinnati got beat yesterday. Teams. One of the high-ranked teams lost third straight game last night. So I think it's like the NBA in a way. You got to look for teams that are running hot and cold. And the NBA, of course, is at rest right now for the All-Star game.
Got some big games coming up this weekend in college hoops. Villanova, Xavier, things like that. There's a lot of big matchups, especially on Saturday.
Well, Villanova lost the other night. Villanova was supposed to be unbeatable. They were beaten. So Xavier, what happened to them the other night?
Well, it's a long season for these kids playing this many games, and a lot of the freshmen that started out back in, October, November, you really can't call them freshmen anymore. They've got a lot of wear and tear. They've played a lot of games. They're more mature. They're more experienced. Some of the teams that had more experience going into the season are no longer more experienced because these freshmen have picked up a lot of that themselves. So
I'll tell you something. Some of the traditional teams, this is a down year for Kentucky. I mean, they lost the other night to Bruce Pearl's team down at Auburn. Bruce's team is for real. They were, I think, ranked 8th right now, but they led all the way against Kentucky. Kentucky never really challenged them. Seton Hall, which started off pretty good this year, can't seem to win anymore. They've lost a few games in a row, and they just can't seem to beat anybody. And they were supposed to be a very talented team, and they may not make the tournament this year, the way they're going right now. And there's about 7 or 8, maybe 9 teams from the Big 12 that are going to probably make the tournament. It's a weird year. University of Miami, which was ranked, dropped out of the top. Will probably drop out of the 25 this week after they lost this week. You watch that team. And I'm thinking Larinaga, it might be too much for him right now. He can't coach big-time guys. Who knows? He's living kind of on what happened in 1995 when he was, coaching a smaller school and went pretty far. So, coaching is important. Duke won big without its top scorer. Missed his last 2 games. And, I'll tell you what's happening with Duke right now is the senior is starting to shoot more. And he had a heck of a game the other night. He couldn't miss. So, and he has to have the ball in his hands, I think, a little more, and has to take charge a little bit. So, the ACC, the traditional teams might be coming down to a showdown. Virginia, look what happened to Virginia the other night. They were upset. So you can't count on any teams.
No, it's really a underdog situation right now. They get these better teams laying points in situations where it looks too easy, and they don't even win the game.
Did you watch Purdue last night?
I did not. I did not see that game.
They were terrible. Wisconsin never looked back in that game. And Wisconsin's defense just totally shut them down. Purdue couldn't do anything. And we thought Purdue was one of the top teams right now. I think Michigan State is better than Purdue right now.
Well, perhaps, these teams that we thought were the number one teams were Purdue and Villanova for a while, and now they're being a little complacent. They know they have the tournament coming up, their own tournaments, and then a big dance coming as well. So their focus may be off, and the teams that were kind of rocky, they're starting to put it together, and they're a little hungrier at the moment. Now that's a human nature thing. So that could be taking over.
Well, I watched a couple of games last night. Wichita won, but they struggled for a while. Houston scored a big upset last night. And that Houston coach is pretty good.
Yeah, well, he is.
Also wins the speaker against Connecticut. And Connecticut's not going anywhere this year.
Right. A lot of people thought Washington would beat Utah last night. It was just,
Utah's good. Yeah, Utah's good. He's a good coach. And Washington's coach is not that good.
Washington comes out and they win the first half by 8 points. The second half, Utah beat them by 20. And this was on the road at Washington. I mean, it's absolutely amazing turnaround in games like this.
I just want to tell you something. There's a couple of hires and promotions in New York. Mike Shula gets hired as offensive coordinator by the Giants, and he's going to get to work with. He's the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. He gets to work with Eli. Giants will probably take a quarterback in the second round of the draft. So Mike will develop whoever they bring up to replace Eli. And Mike's a sharp guy. He's a good friend of mine. I will see him next month when he comes down here to visit his dad. We'll go to the racetrack together. I called Mike and left him a message and said, if you need advice on where to live in North Jersey, I'm your man. And Jeremy Bates. Jeremy Bates is the son of Jim Bates, who was very, very good defensive coordinator and had a brief spell as temporary coach of the Dolphins. I know his dad very well. And in fact, Jim likes the horses a little bit. His dad. Jeremy was the quarterback coach who did a great job with the Jets quarterback last year. I don't know who the Jets quarterback is going to be this year, but Jeremy has been promoted to offensive coordinator. And, like I said, he did a great job with the Jets quarterback last year. And so I've got two guys I've known for a long time, the offspring of two friends I've known for a long time, who are going to be running the offensive shows. And the only thing with Mike Shula is he won't be calling the plays. The head coach will. But Mike will have a lot of input. And so, New York will be interesting to see what happens with their offensive teams next year.
Yes, I agree. Don't you think that's a little strange that that Shula won't be calling the plays?
Well, he's not the only one in that division who won't be calling plays. Looks like Philadelphia will not be replacing their offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, but the head coach is going to be calling the plays there too. He's not even going to replace the coordinator. He's going to be the coordinator himself.
That could prove to be a big mistake.
I agree.
I mean, I like the guy. I think he did a great job. I like his attitude. He's aggressive. I like that. But he might be taking on too much.
Yeah. Well, in the case of the Giants, the coach who was hired there was calling the plays in Minnesota, and I think I think he just wants to have that responsibility. He doesn't want to give it up, but at least he'll have a lot of input from Mike, and his game planning will have a lot of Mike's input.
Well, Hank, you got some horses coming up for the weekend. It's usually a big time for you.
Yeah, there's two big races this weekend. One is in New Orleans at the fairgrounds, and Hollendorfer's horse, who won his last stakes there, will have his horse looking to repeat. But Asmussen has a couple of horses who were challenged, who ran, I think, second and third. And Oaklawn will have some 3-year-olds on display there in the Rebel Stakes. So those are the two stakes this weekend, and we'll take a look at those. And then the next big races will be March 1st when the Fountain of Youth comes up, and there are a lot of races in the first couple of weeks in March, and at Santa Anita and back at Oaklawn again, and in New York. But South Florida with Gulfstream is looking towards March 1st for the Fountain of Youth, and the Florida Derby is the last weekend in March. That's a big race. And as you get towards the end of March, and I'll be handicapping those races, of course, for you, and I think I'm going to be doing some work with ESPN on the races in March.
That's great. Hank's plays are available right now at jimfeist.com. Go there and sign up and get his plays. My plays are there as well. Hank's horses, his basketball plays for the weekend. Of course, the NBA is on hiatus with the All-Star game. I'm not big into All-Star games, but like Hank said, they usually score a lot of points, but I'm not going to be betting it.
You don't like the over 375?
I bet enough things, I think that's one game I won't turn on, and I'm not going to have any interest in whatsoever. I don't like all-star games or exhibition games and things like that, unless I can find, like pro football. Sometimes you can get many times actually, maybe 10, 12 plays the entire pro football preseason, where you get a pretty good instinct of what's happening, the coach's plans on playing starters and backups and going for it and keeping players in longer than the opponent is. But pretty much everything else, I stay away from them. But Hank, anything else before we sign off?
Not really. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'll have some college basketball picks for us. And it should be some good competitive games again. Rhode Island is playing St. Bonaventure tonight. Rhode Island is a very popular team right now. One of the Hurley brothers is coaching there. He's done a great job. St. Bonnie's not that bad. But Bobby Hurley really lost it at the end of the game last night. But Arizona State and Arizona are two very good teams, and they can both really score. But Arizona's coming on. They may be the best team out west.
That's very possible. You know, as far as this Bonaventure game tonight, just one note to the clients. Starts at 7 Eastern, tonight, at 4 o'clock on the Pacific Coast. The game opened up, Rhode Island won. And I'm seeing some major moves on this game to 2.5 Bonaventure or 3 Bonaventure. That's a pretty significant move. I know the game is very meaningful to Bonaventure, especially because they've kind of dropped out of position and they're kind of in one of those first out type things, and they need the game a lot more than Rhode Island. However, you're taking them from a 1-point dog to a 3-point favorite. But that's a money move that I would not ignore. I'm not going to be involved in the game, but that's pretty significant. I just want to let the fans know that that's happening. That's a pretty big move. But
well, Rhode Island right now is the hottest team in the East.
Yes, they are. The problem is, do they really come with the same motivation that Bonaventure does? That's the issue. We know they're better. But we see these teams, these good teams, high-rated teams, they're the 16th ranked team in the country. Are they going to come with the motivation? I mean, Bonaventure's 19-6, 5-4 against the spread at home. I got charts here on this. They played earlier at Rhode Island, so this is a revenge game here for Bonaventure too. Rhode Island beat them 87-73, laying 7 points. They covered the spread. The game went over. The total was 144.5, and it went over. They scored 160 in the game. So, Rhode Island, I mean, they just don't lose. They haven't lost forever. I think December 6th was the last time they lost a game. The Bonaventure has not been that good, but they have run off 7 straight victories. And
I know it.
In conference,
I've been riding them.
In conference, they have not lost a game at home this year in their conference. So I can see where a lot of people are saying they need the game more. They haven't lost a home game, and they got revenge from the first loss. So hence, you got money coming in on Bonaventure. The question is that too big of a move against a team that's actually better than you are? And that's what we've been dealing with lately, with these upsets. So,
does Tom Stitt still play for St. Bonaventure?
Do you know the answer?
You remember Tom Stitt?
Of course. It goes back a few years.
A lot of years.
We're not supposed to admit that we know those things, Hank.
Gives us credibility.
I don't know about that. I don't know. It's not in the age of the millennials, it doesn't, Hank. Very funny. So, folks, go out there at jimfeist.com. Hank and I will be posting plays each and every day for the weekend. And we'll see you back here on Monday. Thanks, Hank.
Tom Stitt. Have a good day.
You too.